Hello YouTube, it's Thomas, and excuse my bed hair, it's just like gone 7:30 here in the morning. It's the most quiet time for me to record because recently we've had lots of building work, and I guess the aunties have started their Tai Chi outside, but it's raining, so I'm hoping there's going to be minimal background noise in this video. So just as a side note, this is the third video in a 3-part series. I'm going to do more videos after this relating to the university experience, but in terms of what you do in years 1, 2 and 3, I have 2 videos before this, so go and watch those if you haven't seen them already. So let's get straight to the point. Third year of university, what did I do? Now, I would say third year out of any maybe creative route, degree, whatever you want to call it. Third year is probably the most exciting year because you have your degree show. Now, pretty much what your 3 years all build up to, it's all about the degree show at the end. How do you present yourself as a, not professional, semi-professional, I don't know, maybe the best way to put it is semi-professional. You're coming into the real world now. It's your kind of maybe first big show that's going to have the most amount of attention you'll probably get within those 3 years. So, you know, how do you present yourself, present your work, your body of work that you've developed over the past 3 years? So, as for the units that I've spoken about in the previous videos, we have in this year, year 3, we have Unit 9, which was the studio unit that ran throughout the entire year. Now, with the previous studio units, we didn't have them run throughout the entire year. We had 2 for each half of the year. But this one, because it's the final degree show, you just have the whole unit running throughout the whole year. And then you have Unit 10, which was Dissertation. So I'll speak about both of those. There was only 2 units in the final year. The previous years had 4 units each. So this kind of is cut in half. So you literally put all of your focus into these 2 big units, which make up the entirety of your degree. So as I said, Unit 9 was the studio practice unit. Now, I've referred to what the studio practice is in the previous videos. If you don't understand, then watch those. But the studio practice is obviously the work that you do in your studio space. So that was Unit 9. What we did have is you start off the year as normal. You start obviously doing your work in your space. But what we had the new year, I think it was end of January around this time, we had something called the interim show. So I'm going to put some pictures up as I speak. So as I guess explain things, you'll be able to visually see what was going on. So my interim show, which I actually think probably was better than my degree show. I think maybe the work was a bit, well, you know what, there was good and bad about, I guess, both my interim and my degree show, but whatever, let me move on. So the interim show, I guess you could practice hanging up work. You had an idea of what your work looked like in a larger space, because they gave us the large space of the where we had lectures to hang our work, and then we all kind of had groups assigned where you would sit around and critique and talk about the work. So it kind of put you a little bit more on the spot to explain your work and have it critiqued by others, and also get you really thinking about how you're going to kind of present your work in the final degree show. And I happened to be, one tutor commented that I was the only one in my group who hung the paintings at the right height. So apparently I had a good eye for hanging paintings at the correct height, which I'm clearly very proud of. So before I go on and speak about my degree show, which I have mixed feelings about, I'm going to speak about the dissertation. So at the end of second year, they actually tell us to start preparing for our dissertation over summer. So you're supposed to kind of come back from the summer with at least a solid topic or idea of what you're going to write your dissertation on, because the dissertation, you want to focus in on not a really broad topic. You want to focus on something which is related to maybe a broader topic, but you can't, I mean, you've got 6,000 words. So for an art degree, or I did a painting BA, my understanding is other degrees, they have probably much higher word count, maybe 10,000, something like this, depending on what type of degree you're doing. But 6,000 words is not a lot to cover a broad subject. So you have to narrow down into something smaller within that larger context. So they want you to at least have some references and some ideas by the time you come back from the summer, so that you get assigned a special tutor for your dissertation. So you have your academic tutor, which is related to your studio practice, but then you have the tutor that they assign you specifically for your dissertation. Well, this is how my university worked anyways. So once you get talking with them, obviously the more content that you have, or the more things you have to bring to them, the more direction that they can give you. And as for with any, I guess, if you don't have a problem with writing, I think the dissertation is just about literally organizing your time, putting enough effort into, getting some good content and references. I mean, you have access to a university library, so you can't complain about, not having references or content to look at to then use for your dissertation. It's all about organization at the end of the day. And I'll admit, obviously I think we tend to, when it comes to writing tasks or essays and things like this, you try to delay it as much as possible. And when it came to my dissertation, I actually ended up, I shouldn't say it, I ended up submitting my first draft as the final thing, but I got a really high mark. So I was actually surprised. I know I didn't do badly, but I wasn't expecting to do as well as I did. So apparently I'm not bad at writing, which was kind of a confidence boost for me when I got my results. So now let's talk about the degree show. As I said, I have mixed opinions. I'm sure everyone probably has mixed opinions about their work in their degree show. Maybe some are much more confident than others, but I think mine was 50-50. I had 4 paintings. I think 2 of them were terrible. 1 of them was okay and 1 of them was good. Now I'm going to do a whole video critiquing my degree show and maybe how I've developed since. But I'll show my pictures, the pictures of the good paintings that I like. And then when I do my degree show video, I'll show everything and critique and make comments on why I think some work was really bad, and why I know some work was really bad, I should say. But yeah, I'll show a couple of my good paintings from my degree show right now. But the lead up to the degree show, we had a fundraising kind of time of the year, which the way my university did it, I understood that the university had a certain kind of budget for the degree show, but then they wanted us to also raise more money for it. I mean, I'd say I'm ignorant of how universities structure their funding and stuff, but I always wondered, with £9,000 from every bloody student, why the hell do we have to do fundraising for our degree show that is also in the university? We're not renting out an expensive space in central London. I always ask myself, where does all the bloody money go? But as I said, I'm ignorant of how a university functions in that sense, so I don't know, whatever. But we had something called the Bad Painting Prize. So this is the whole year, and second years I think could also participate. We had people donate small paintings to put on an exhibition, and then people would come to this exhibition, mostly students, and bid on, basically make bids on all the paintings, and the highest bids for each bad painting would win. And then obviously all the money raised would then go towards the degree show. Now, I submitted a bad painting, or bad painting is kind of what you decide on what a bad painting is. I helped set up the show, but I didn't go to the show. Reasons being, I just remember certain individuals would, I guess, try and do controversial or just vile things to put into the show. And to be honest, like, big crowds in relatively small spaces is not my kind of thing to go to. But I remember in the previous year there was a third year that was like going around telling everyone, like, everyone was obviously asking, like, what's your bad painting? And he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna print loads of pornography. And it's just like, wow, you're so creative and controversial. It's just like, cool. But I actually do remember that there were some paintings removed from the show before it was even like finished setting up, because of, it's interesting how obviously you have an art college and everyone's about freedom of speech and freedom of expression, right? But I think that it's important, there needs to be a line drawn sometimes when it gets overly offensive or overly vile, or sometimes people just do not think before they do something. Now, one thing I just wanted to, I guess, add when it comes to the degree show is this is where the location and the name of your university comes in handy. Because, for example, I went to Wimbledon, University of the Arts London, and I'll admit, location-wise, it just sucks. It's difficult to get to. The easiest way to get to it is like you go to Waterloo Station, central London, and then you've got maybe another half an hour, 40-minute journey to the college, which is, it's just not easily accessible to the general public. Say if you've got a gallery in central London where people are out and about, say like Chelsea or Camberwell, those kinds of shows in University of the Arts London are far more accessible to the general public, and I think attract a lot more attention than somewhere like Wimbledon, which is kind of like the middle of nowhere, even though Wimbledon technically isn't, but it is relative to the other colleges. So this is where, you know, I think it matters when it comes to exposure to the general public, whether that, you know, will obviously have any effect. Maybe I'm happy that my work wasn't exposed to more of the general public, because a lot of it sucked in the degree show. But, you know, I guess we all go through development, and it's dependent on whether, you know, do you want to do this or do you not want to do this? Sometimes you have to put yourself on the spot to realize how to move forward, if that makes sense. So location matters at this point, I would say anyways. So I guess your university is either going to display the work in the campus, which is what my one did, or they're going to hire out a space in a more accessible place. But most will probably use the excuse of we have no money to do so, or they get the bigger space in the more accessible area and put the degree show on there, which I know that some universities up north came down to London to do that, so fair play to them. So that's pretty much, I guess, all I wanted to speak. When it comes to the degree show, you put everything up yourself and you invigilate it yourself, and you have timetables and stuff like this. But apart from that, I guess the last thing I wanted to add was research journal. That's something that came along with that studio unit, because the degree show counted as your final kind of unit, and you needed the research to go with it. So my research journal was also submitted along with my degree show. I'll show you a couple of images as I speak now about that research journal, but once again, it's kind of like, just think about how you're going to present your thoughts and your work. And I know that I did this in a digital sense because it's much easier to submit when it's digital, but I know some people had like cupboards and boxes full of stuff, but it's kind of, you just have to make sure it's organized and it makes sense to those who are assessing it, but you're free to kind of express your research in whichever way you deem fit for your practice. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I'm great at English during my YouTube video. Yeah, okay. But so that is my third year video, and that kind of closes this 3-part series of years 1, 2, and 3, doing a fine art degree, or as I did, a painting BA. I hope you guys have enjoyed my insight, and I hope I haven't talked too much nonsense and actually given some valuable information to those interested in taking this direction. Now, I plan on doing, what I'm going to do is a whole summary video after this, so quickly go through years 1, 2, and 3. But for those kind of watching this now, you would have heard the information already. I just want to do the summary video for those who maybe don't want to watch all specifics of years 1, 2, and 3 in a longer sense, I guess. So I plan on doing that next. Please keep on messaging me on Instagram, posting comments underneath the video, all of the things that you guys kind of tell me and ask me, give me more ideas for videos. I apologize to any of those Instagramming me and I don't reply straight away, because sometimes I'm busy with my own work and stuff, and people send quite long questions and stuff, which I can't just reply within like 5 seconds. So I'd rather give meaningful responses than just quick, meaningless responses. So keep asking the questions here, because I want to put more videos out, more information, which I'm qualified to answer. So I wish you all the best in your artistic journey, and I guess, yeah, bye.